Merci François. So to make up for the fact that the slides are in French, I will try and speak in English, even though that's a very French initiative. So C3I stands for Certificat de compétence en calcul intensif, and it's what we call a label that's given to PhD theses that have a significant contribution to high-performance computing. So the goal is both to try to increase the visibility of thesis in the domain of high-performance computing, and also to increase the visibility of high-performance computing itself towards potential employers, be they industry or labs and research institutions. And so by essence, these kind of works are multidisciplinary. They involve applied mathematics, computer science, and usually one or maybe two more close to application disciplines. The label is sponsored by CPU, which is the Conférence des Présidents d'Université. So that's the body that federates all French universities. GENSI, which you all know, and also Maison de la Simulation. And it was created, I'll say more on the next slide, as an answer to several preconizations by reports that came out about 10 to 15 years ago, saying that this kind of initiative would be a good idea. One thing I should mention is that it started and went on for a number of years, talking about calcul intensif, high-performance computing, and of course, it's now being extended to take into account the new application and direction that H-performance computing is taking, big data, and also machine learning and artificial intelligence, provided there is a significant contribution to big machines, let's say, and not just routine use of frameworks. So it was created 15 years ago as an idea of Stéphane Cordier that most of you probably know, and I used to say that most good ideas in this field come from Stéphane Cordier and maybe also Violaine Louvet. So I'm thankful to Stéphane. And the three former presidents were Hervé Letreux, Jean-Claude André, and Olivier Pironneau. I may have gotten the years wrong. And I certainly want to thank all of them, and in particular, and not only because he's there, Jean-Claude André, who did a lot to restart and give a lot of visibility to this label. And I'm very honored to follow up in the tracks of these prestigious leaders. So now how do you apply for C3I? So the thing is that it has to be done after the thesis has been defended, because the label is just a label pertaining to high-performance computing and not the core of the thesis itself. We're not here to give an advice after the thesis committee has given its own imprimatur for the thesis. So that's after the fact. And in practice, the thesis has to be on an institutional server for thesis, thèse en ligne. And we ask for the candidate. In English, it's easier because I don't have to say the candidate or whatever. That two of the committee members should sponsor or give their opinion on not on the thesis itself again, but on the contribution to HPC of the thesis. And then, and the candidate also has to fill in a short statement of his own contributions to the domain. And then two of the members of the C3I jury will give an opinion, and then usually the label will be awarded. It's not a prize. So the idea is to give it to as many people as we can, not to be selective. If the work's interesting and has a significant contribution, then the label will be awarded. There is no competition. So this is the new address for the formulaire de candidature in good English. It's on an in-real server for practical reasons. It had to move from where it was before. So it's fairly short to fill. We are asking, we think, just the necessary questions. And so the committee is partially being reformed. Here are the names that are currently serving on the committee. It's not complete as yet. And Valérie Bell at Maison de la Simulation is providing the logistical assistance to make things work. So in principle, we should have representatives from academia, industry, the learning societies, and also associations like ORAP, for instance. I also want to take this opportunity to single out one former member of the jury, who was Cécile Dobrynski, who unfortunately passed away 1 or 2 years ago, and who put all of the energy she was capable of putting into helping this label. There will be a day at Laboratoire Jacques Williams dedicated to her memory in a couple of weeks. So the label has been a bit dormant for the past couple of years. So the statement I'm giving is 2 years old. Around 135 applications were received, and only 25 were turned down. So most of the applications are very good usually, and come from, as you'll see on the next slide, a wide array of applications. What we found over and over is that we know, for other reasons, that most of the candidates have had applications or contributions to HPC, but it very often is not written out in the thesis because it's not interesting. That's not the subject. We're talking about, let's say, astrophysics or genomics or whatever, not computer science. So we'd like people to actually go one step more and put in writing what they've spent a lot of time doing, actually. We know that. And of course, there are some people who get confused with scientific computing and not HPC, but that's a minority now. So this is interesting. It's a slide I stole from a presentation that Marie-Élise Foujols gave 2 or 3 years ago, actually 4 years ago, that looks at the various disciplines who's contributed or applied to the label. And one thing that really stands out is that if you know the strength of the different technical committees at GenC, people who apply for computing hours, mathematics, with almost half of the contributions here, is about 1% of the computing hours at GenC. On the other hand, astrophysics or physics, chemistry, or environment are much, much, much larger contributors. So we know we know the people from applied math. Well, that's where I come from. We need to be better known among the more application-oriented, what I would say, communities. Obviously, there is still a lot of progress to be made here. And for the last slide, so I just sent a message a couple of days ago on the Calcul mailing list, and I'm quite happy that it was well received. Maybe we could get a better exposition on things like, I don't know, social networks, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever, for younger people. As I said, the visibility of the label, other communities mean other than applied math or the traditional computing need to be increased. We need to make sure that actually the label is good to help people find a job. And one thing that is hard is to try and follow what happened to the people who applied and got the label. Also, we can, in some of the cases, there are very interesting results to be known. We could do that, and of course, follow the evolution of the technologies, like I mentioned at the beginning, extend the level toward not only HPC, but artificial intelligence, machine learning. Again, provided there is a significant contribution and not just routine use of a framework that happens to work on GPUs, but out of the box. So I wanted to keep it short. I think that's it. Maybe there's time for a couple of questions. And thank you.
Merci, Michel. Est-ce qu'il y a des questions pour Michel?
One thing I should emphasize is that, again, the thesis has to be defended for the candidate to apply.
Bon, bah, a priori, tu as été clair. Merci beaucoup. Et donc,